There are 3 levels of losing belly fat that every man has to go through, and in this video I'm going to show you how to beat each one after beating all 3 myself and losing 110 pounds. So I'm going to rate each of these 3 levels out of 10 in terms of difficulty, and 5 points are going to be dedicated towards mental difficulty, and the other 5 are going to be dedicated towards physical difficulty. Now level 1 is what I call starting from scratch. This is where you haven't lost any weight, but you're starting to try to lose weight. Now, the total difficulty on this level is 5 out of 10, and the physical difficulty is 2 out of 5. Now, the reason for physical difficulty being 2 out of 5 is because fat loss, and I know you don't want to hear this, but fat loss right now is easier than it'll ever be because your body is very responsive to your first baby steps towards losing fat than, say, trying to lose fat when you're already very lean. Now, yes, beating level 1 of losing belly fat is mentally difficult, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But in terms of just getting the first few pounds to come off of your body, it's not that difficult. In fact, I recently just helped a guy inside of my minimalist fitness program drop 10 pounds in 30 days. And I'm going to show you the only thing that we had him do to get him to lose his first 10 pounds. But before I do that, let's talk about why losing your first 10 pounds is so difficult mentally. Now, there's really only 2 reasons that it's mentally difficult. The first one being your mindset. Now, when I first started trying to lose weight, I'd switch up my approach to fat loss every 5 to 6 days. And the problem wasn't in the approaches because probably all of my approaches would have worked. But the only problem was that I wasn't sticking to anything long enough for me to see results. And so the only thing I want you to promise me is that after I show you the only thing that you need to do to lose your first 10 pounds, you're actually going to implement it and follow it for at least 30 days in a row. Which brings me to the second reason that losing your first 10 pounds is so mentally difficult, and that's because of the unbelievable amount of fucking misinformation on the internet. There's so much conflicting advice out there. A YouTuber will tell you to do one thing to lose fat, while another YouTuber will tell you that that's what's killing your gains. You want to avoid all of this fucking complicated bullshit advice on the internet. What you want to do is follow simplified advice. Now, instead of me just telling you what the thing is, let me tell you a story that I think is going to help nail the point harder. So I used to work out at a gym that was a 5-minute walk from my house, but 20 minutes away from my house was another gym, and this gym was where my friend worked out. So my friend persuaded me to get a gym membership there, and instead of walking 5 minutes to and from the gym every day, I started walking 20 minutes to and from. So 20 minutes to go there, 20 minutes to come back. I was walking instead of 10 minutes, I started walking 40 minutes every time that I'd go work out. And boom, that's all I needed to lose my first 10 to 15 pounds. And so the guy that lost 10 pounds in 1 month, we didn't change anything about his diet or his workouts. We just got him to start walking more. So after me just showing you the only thing you need to do, which is walk, you don't need any more information to lose your first few pounds. You need implementation. Keep your promise and follow it for 30 days in a row. Now, after you implement the first habit that I just gave you, you will have lost your first few pounds and you will have beaten level 1 of losing belly fat. But now it's time to go to level 2. So to be at this level, you have to lose at least 10 pounds. Now, the total difficulty of this level is a 7 out of 10, and the physical difficulty of it is a 3.5 out of 10. Now, the reason that this level is more physically difficult is because as you lose your first few pounds, your body gets better at avoiding fat loss. And here's why that is. So, your body wants to maintain homeostasis, which just means your body wants to maintain stable conditions. So, it's resistant to change. And when you try to lose more fat, you're trying to cause a bigger change. And of course, your body doesn't want that, which is why just walking isn't going to get you through this level. Now, the mental difficulty of this level is again another 3.5 out of 10. And the biggest problem that you're going to be faced with here is the temptation to fall back into old habits. You might start thinking, I deserve it when you reach for that tub of ice cream before you go to sleep as your midnight snack. Your body will literally send you more hunger signals than normal just so it can avoid losing more fat. But this level is where major physical changes can happen. I'm talking you can be completely unrecognizable in as little as 90 days as long as you do the 2 things that I'm going to show you. So, first, we've got to make sure that we keep doing what's working, right? It's important that you don't stop walking. Yeah, walking alone isn't going to get you to beat this level, but you've got to make sure that you keep walking. But the first thing that we've got to add to the equation if we want to beat level 2 is a good diet. Now, I'm going to tell you what the perfect fat loss diet is. So the perfect fat loss diet is one where you largely get to eat whatever you want, of course, within reason, and you can follow this diet for the rest of your life. So it's got to be sustainable. Now, that automatically writes off almost all of the extreme diets, like the meat only diet or the ketogenic diet or whatever, the vegan diet. If it requires you to change what you're eating by a large amount, then it's safe to say that you should probably steer clear of that diet. But the beauty of having a sustainable fat loss diet is that everyone's fat loss diet can be different. So, for example, I am brown. And so, if I was to follow shitty advice that I get on the internet from fitness influencers, I would start eating bland chicken, broccoli, and rice and stop eating the delicious food that I get cooked at home. But since I choose to follow a sustainable diet, I can continue to eat my favorite well flavored spicy foods. Now, the second thing that you've got to add if your goal is to beat level 2 of losing belly fat is a workout routine. But not just any workout routine, a minimalist workout routine. And let me explain why and what that is. So, you know me at this point, I'm going to shit on the mainstream fitness industry first. So, if you end up following their advice, what you'll do is you'll adopt a maximalist approach where you're training 6 days a week for 2 hours at a time and fucking having no life outside of the gym. You don't want to do that. You want to adopt a minimalist's approach, which is where you're training as little as 2 to 4 times per week. And you're emphasizing the quality of your workouts way more than the quantity of your workouts. So now we're at the final part of your fat loss journey that's going to be the hardest, and I call this level 3, the final push. This is where you've already lost 25 or more pounds. I would say this is me a month or two ago, right before I go into what I would now undoubtedly call the best shape of my life. Every single problem that you faced at level 2 is just going to be intensified. Your body's going to be more resistant towards losing fat, and your old habits are going to try to force their way into your life. But at this level, it's all just about fine tuning the things that we talked about earlier. So it's about going from walking, say, 15 minutes to 30 minutes every day to walking maybe 45 minutes every day. It's about eating a little bit less of the ice cream that you were eating on your sustainable fat loss diet. It's about dialing in your workouts and increasing their quality to the point that you already know what you're going to do in the gym before you even walk in there. Think of it this way: everything you've done up until this point was practice, and now you're going to play the actual game. You're going to fine tune every skill that you've acquired from level 1 and level 2. Skills like watching what you eat, skills like regularly going out for a walk, skills like being consistent in the gym. Now, if you want my personalized help with any of those 3 stages, click the first link in the description and I'll see you inside my Minimalist Fitness program. I'll see you in the next one.